This woman duped hundreds of guys who thought they were going on a Tinder date with her. The huge crowd of men looking for love gathered in Manhattan for a chance to woo this beautiful actress.
I have everyone here today to be on a date with me.
But when they showed up, Natasha Aponte told them they'd be battling it out to win her affection.
No beer bellies, no long beards, no bald guys, you gotta go.
Natasha began eliminating the guys left and right, just like on the dating app.
Swipe right, swipe left.
What kind of reaction do you get in that moment?
People behind, in the back were kind of like booing me, and then the people in front were like, what? It was just a mixed reaction because no one has ever had this happen.
3, 2, 1.
Those left standing were even told to show off their athleticism.
2, 3.
Reaction on social media is mixed. Act of genius, goes one tweet, but some comments denounce the prank as degrading and shameful, especially after they realized it was a stunt for a viral marketing company. This guy was so upset, he grabbed the actress's mic.
Excuse me.
Security guards descended on 23-year-old Vashawn Watson. Video obtained by Inside Edition shows the recent college graduate getting grabbed by the neck and forced out of the public area.
Don't touch me like that.
I guess the security felt like I got too close. One of them put his hands on me. And he tackled me to the ground.
Rob Bliss owns the ad agency that came up with the phony Tinder date campaign.
The planning process took years, actually, and I think it was important to take all of the Tinder experience and bring it into the real world, because everything that Natasha did was simply what we're already doing online.
Do you feel bad at all that you duped these guys?
I actually am willing to take the punches just because of the meaning behind the message. We're not saying that this is right, we're actually agreeing with everyone and saying this is wrong, so why do we allow it to happen online?
Before I get to the meat and the crux of this video, I'm gonna go deep into the archives of YouTube. I'm going deep into the archives of the Rolodex of videos I have on file, the Rolodex of other guys who made similar videos. See, the problem is, I'm always going to be anti-Manosphere. And there's reason behind that, right? There's a reason behind I'm anti-Manosphere. At the same time, out of fairness, I'm going to talk about why it exists. And the reason why the Manosphere exists is because some of you women on social media make arguments that are so one-sided, that is so that's not based on reality, that any time when somebody makes a statement that you disagree with is automatically dismissed. Anytime when a man tries to or attempts to make a statement that doesn't go along with the narrative, it's been dismissed as being lying or being crybabyish. So in the link in the description box are a series of videos, and it's two cases that happened a few years ago that is the reason why a lot of men became a part of the Manosphere. You see, we got a woman by the name of Natasha. What's her name? Natasha um, Pone. I hope I got the last name right. Now, about 4 or 5 years ago, she did the Twitter. Um, she did the Twitter as the Twitter hoax in New York City, and she posted up a an ad. You know, she posted up on Twitter, not Twitter, Tinder rather. I'm sorry, Tinder. And when she was on Tinder, you know, and a lot of guys responded to her ad requesting a date. So one day she she said yes to all of these men. Now Nick, now this is New York, by the way. Mind you, this is New York. So she told him, "Well, meet me at this certain location at this certain time." And she, so she had a stage set up. She has a stage that was set up, and a lot of guys showed up. By at least 1,000 responses, she received at least 1,000 responses, and a lot of men showed up. And soon as the men showed up at this one location, I think it was Times Square. I'm not sure. Correct me if I'm wrong. She went ahead and got on stage because it was already a platform made, and she made disparaging comments about the men who showed up. Guys who are overweight or seemingly to be overweight, she told them to leave. Some guys who got beards, she told them to leave. Some men who look a certain way was shamefully told to leave. Some of the men that that was not of a certain height was shamed, was seemingly shamed out of there and berated. And she forced these guys who remained to do some circus acts and athletic feats. And and this is the reason why I gotta say, and a lot of these guys lost their self-respect by performing these acts while she sit there and tell these guys to jump through hoops for her for this date. Now, back then when I did a video about this 4 or 5 years ago, I said the guys who remain are worse than what Natasha have done. You know why? Because those men are simps. Those men are some ungrateful who got no self-respect about their own manhood and personhood. So yes, I might be anti Manosphere, but when you got women online who can't see that the snake is eating its own self. And the reason why I'm coming hard on some of you women, because you create the manosphere too. Now I was on Bomb Cherry's channel, and I keep seeing this one-sided argument time after time. Instead of talking about the argument itself, they want to go personal about, well, Big J, what about your dating life? And let me say this too. Let's say this too for a minute. This is the reason why I have a problem. The reason why a lot of men have a problem with these stupid, idiotic, one-side arguments. So it's a problem for a man to say, or any man to say, well, I don't want no children. I don't want to date. I don't want no kids. I don't want marriage. That's a problem. But I'm sitting back and I'm looking at who was on the panel. And it goes back to Natasha over there. You got a woman on the panel who declares because black men are so terrible on social media that she refused to date. She refused to enter in any relationship. Because of what black men say online. How come that's not the story? How come that's not the argument? Because the reason why it exists and the reason why I'm against the Manosphere is because they are so hyperbolic. The Manosphere has been overly misogynistic, overly disrespectful to women that has nothing to do with their problems. But at the same time, I got to call out some of you sisters out from the sisterhood. So the same rule should apply if we're going to talk about equality. The same rules should apply when we talk about equality. So how can a woman be on the panel talk about, I don't want to date men because of what black men say on social media? Well, that tells me to you that you're living your life through social media. You're living your life through YouTube. You're living your life through TikTok and Twitter and God knows what else that's out there. Now back to Natasha, though, right? Back to Natasha. I want y'all to notice something. Notice that if we go back to the video, right? She says all that demeaning things about the thousands, if not hundreds of men that showed up, degrading their time. And I said this back then. I said, they need to sue. If these guys had any self-respect, they would have sued Tinder and also sue Rod Bliss. I think they should have sued Rod Bliss and sued Tinder for it, and also sued this woman who tricked them with this scam. Because some of these dating websites, you have to do what? You have to pay for subscription. You have to pay to message the people who you're trying to date, right? And I wish there was a class action lawsuit against Ron Bliss and Natasha. But having said that, notice what Natasha is doing today. She just about 5 hours ago, and I just happened to came across this as I was doing research for this video. She is doing a music video because she's supposed to be this aspiring actress, model, / a singer. She put out a music video talking about getting in the back seat with various men. Getting in the back seat, getting her box ate out in the back seat. Make that make sense. So you're going to degrade all these men, thousands of men who showed 1,000, if not hundreds of men, but yet you degrading yourself in the back seat of a car. At the same time, you said you being degraded by men on Tinder. Make that make sense. So back to bomb. Back to bomb cherry juice. Do you see why why the Manosphere exists? Now you see why the Manosphere is is a poison? Because guess what? They're not a poison by themselves. Yes, these guys are despicable. These guys are disrespectful. These guys are very nourish, for lack of a better word, of intelligence. These guys don't have any intellect. Some guys whined and cried about it, right? But what you're trying to do, you're trying to pour water, trying to put out a grease fire. And any firefighter will know. Any people in the emergency rescue service people will always tell you, you never pour water on a grease fire. And that's what you're doing with the premise of your live streams, especially when you have a woman on your panel who says she refused to date men because of the men on social media. But point out men's flaws on why they don't want to date. And that's a troubling why men who refuse to date and refuse to get with women is their fault. But like I said, have that same energy on your side and stop having these one-side arguments. My name's BIGJXXX, and yes, I pushed that other video about Jason Whitlock. I had to push that back to address this video. Anyway, I'm out. Peace, and see you next time.